In this video, I'm going to show a real case study where I have two identical campaigns, but the only difference is that one of the campaigns has warm up and then the other campaign has no warm up. And I'm going to show you the difference in the results. Now, just to be clear, this is an ongoing campaign. So in the first part of this video, I'll show you the results I currently have. And then I'm going to come back maybe in about a month from now and film the second part. And that's going to then show you sort of an updated version a month later. But as you can see on my screen, I'm inside my email chaser account and you'll see these two campaigns. One says warm up, the other one says no warm up. Now, as I just mentioned, both of these campaigns are the exact same. They have the exact same lead list. They have the exact same copy. Even the way the email counts were set up was the exact same. So each campaign has 3 different email accounts connected to each. Those email accounts, by the way, are Google Workspace. They're not reseller. They were set directly through Google Workspace. Each email account was set up by one individual person. So each email account has a completely separate credit card, email, IP, everything, because they're set up by real people separately. So from an infrastructure perspective, you could not get better than this. This is super clean, no centralization. Again, lead list, very good lead list. You know, every single person that we're emailing in these campaigns either use Instantly or Smartly, which are cold email sending tools. So very relevant to what we're offering, which is a cold email sending platform, email chaser. And then in terms of copy, I'm going to show you that soon, a very simple copy. But anyways, as you can see so far, you know, these campaigns were created almost a month ago. So you can see it says 22nd January 2025. Here it says 20th of January 2025. Today you can see it's the 12th of February in the top right there. So they've been running for nearly a month. So far, both campaigns, so this one's contacted 656 leads. This one is 648 leads. The campaign that has no warm-up has more than double the number of replies than the campaign that has a warm-up. And when I say warm-up, I just want to clarify, I'm referring to warm-up tools where you connect your email accounts to a warm-up network and they send basically fake emails to each other to simulate engagement. That's what I'm referring to. I'm not talking about the gradual buildup of sending volume on newly connected email accounts. I still think that's probably a good idea. In fact, Email Chaser does that by default. So when you connect email accounts to Email Chaser, we gradually build up your sending volume. But the purpose of this video is to test whether warm-up tools that try to replicate email engagement, if they actually work. And what I'm seeing right now so far, it's still early, but what I'm seeing right now is that not only do warm-up tools not improve your response rate, they actually appear to be decreasing your reply rate by a considerable amount. I mean, the one with no warm-up has literally more than doubled the number of replies, which is quite significant. Now, in terms of the warm-up I'm using, I created an Instantly account. I connected these 3 email accounts to this Instantly account. You can see that they all have warm-up here. And the warm-up's activated and it's sort of sending these fake emails every day. And by the way, in case you're wondering if you've never used Warmup before, in case you're wondering what I mean by these are fake emails, I got this screenshot here to show you what one of these Warmup emails looks like. So this was sent through Instantly's Warmup. You can see that, so where it says George Walkup, that's sort of one of my email accounts. You can see that it creates basically a random subject line and then it generates some kind of body text and it sends it to some other email account that's in the same Warmup pool and then they'll reply. And it's just the idea is that it's simulating reply rates and everything, which hypothetically is going to make ESPs think that your email counts are good because people are replying, and hypothetically that's going to improve your deliverability and everything so that you're less likely to go spam. But the problem is that, that's what these tools claim. They're all claiming, oh, pay us money, buy our warm-up. We're not going to actually give you any evidence that it works, but give us money anyways, and it's going to magically make your response rate increase and your deliverability better. But when you actually do it, you run this test, as you can see, the results are the complete opposite. I mean, it would be bad enough if they were charging you money, but there was no difference. So they're charging you money and okay, whatever. It's not actually doing anything, but it's not hurting you. As you can see in what I'm showing you in this video, it's actually decreasing your reply rate compared to if you did nothing. Now, for all the people who are probably watching this, who've been using Warmup for a while, I know it probably hurts to hear this, but it's not hard for ESPs like Gmail and Outlook to detect when your email accounts are part of a warm-up network. It's very obvious. I mean, you can even see in the screenshot in the subject line, there's this sort of random string of numbers and letters. So that's sort of an automatic string of code that, well, not code, but letters and numbers that these warm-up tools will add to your warm-up emails, and that's how they identify that this particular email is a warm-up email, so that they don't then track that as a reply, so that when you're actually using these email counts in real campaigns and you're contacting real leads and they reply, there's a way to differentiate, okay, which replies were from warm-up emails and which replies were from real leads, so you can have more accurate data in your analytics. But are you really trying to tell me that there's sort of, maybe dozens of highly paid smart engineers at Google and Microsoft whose entire job is around detecting this kind of stuff? Are you trying to tell me that they can't detect this? Like, this is so easy, so obvious. And this is just one example. I mean, I could go on all day about why it's probably extremely easy for them to detect this. I'm not even talking about spam traps or anything else that is also relevant. But the point is, we're looking at these campaigns. Right now, the one with no warm up is performing much better than the one with warm up. As I mentioned already, this is an ongoing campaign because a lot of people, they'll say, oh, well, maybe warm up doesn't help in the beginning, but long term it helps. Okay, well, let's test that. I'm going to keep this campaign going. Let's keep adding new leads every month. Let's just keep adding more and more leads and see what happens. So I'm going to keep making update videos, and eventually we'll put it all together as one video. But the point is, right now, these are pretty damning results against Warmup. And, if I come in here, for example, let's look at the campaign that has no warm-up. So you can see this, the copy I'm using is very basic. I say the subject line, and then we have the body here. Short to the point email. I'm not even using follow-ups here, just one email. A basic signature here. In terms of schedule, and by the way, everything I'm showing you right now is the exact same in both campaigns. So there's no difference between the two campaigns in any of these settings or copy or anything. The only difference is the warm-up. So, we have all these settings here. We're setting Monday through Saturday, US Eastern Time, 8 a.m., 6 p.m. Each email count's only sending 10 to 20 emails per day. So pretty low volume, actually. Now, you could bump that up probably to 30 to 40 per day. Probably wouldn't matter. And by the way, the email counts we're using in both campaigns here, we created them maybe about a month ago, and then we waited about 1 to 2 weeks before we started using them in these two test campaigns. So they are all 6 email counts, because each campaign has 3 email counts. All 6 email accounts are basically brand new. We only waited 1 or 2 weeks before we started using them. They were set up directly through Google Workspace, using, with real people, not using resellers. So in case you're wondering, that's kind of how we did it. And then we go to analytics. This campaign has already contacted 656 people so far. 31 have replied. Most of them are positive. And that's basically it. Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to make an update video soon, about a month from now, and then eventually we'll see if there's any difference. But from what I can see here, Warmup is actually hurting your campaigns, and we're going to see if that's true in a month. This is part 2 of this case study. Today is the 19th of March, 2025. So I think when I filmed the first part of this video, it was about a month ago. I launched these 2 campaigns basically on the 20th of January, 2025. So essentially 2 months ago. So they've been running for about 2 months. We've been adding new leads to them on a continuous basis for the last 2 months. As you can see right now, the campaign that has no warm-up here, this has received 57 replies, and then the campaign that has warm-up has received 36 replies. So I suppose the point of this video is to show that you can launch a campaign with no warm-up tool, and you are either going to get more replies, or you could argue that this data sample is not large enough to really be conclusive. But what you can kind of tell from this video and from these campaigns is that either the warm-up is doing nothing to help, or it's actively hurting your reply rate. Either way, there's no reason to spend money on a warm-up tool. These companies that are charging for warm-up tools, they are taking your money with the promise of saying, if you give us your money, you add your email counts to our warm-up pool, you're going to get more replies, and you're going to be more likely to land in the primary inbox. And that's just not true. I mean, from what I can see here, there's no evidence to show that that's true. In fact, the evidence I have in front of me seems to be pointing to the opposite. So just ask yourself the question, why are you even using a warm-up tool? Who's telling you to use that tool? Most likely it's someone selling the tool. or someone who has been using it for so long that they don't want to admit that they're wrong. So they have an inbuilt bias because they just don't want to sort of reevaluate the entire strategy. I don't think you should use warm-up tools. I think it's very obvious from the ESP perspective that you're using it. It's very easy to detect, and it's probably hurting your deliverability. So what I would recommend that you do though instead is, a gradual build up is probably still a good idea. So if you set up brand new email accounts, it's probably still a good idea to gradually build up your sending volume. So you're not just blasting out full volume on day one. Maybe build that up over the course of 4 to 8 weeks. By the way, if you use Email Chaser, that's built in by default. Another thing you can do is just make sure that you have decentralization built into your sort of email account setup process. So if you want to set up 100 email accounts, which by the way, not everyone needs to do that, but if you do want to do that, don't have one person on your team set up all 100 email accounts, because that's probably going to lead to them all getting blacklisted or tied together due to footprints. Instead, it's better to have, maybe, I don't know, 10 different people on your team setting up 10 email accounts each, using their own cards, their own names, their own emails, their own devices, and then having everything separated so that you're not having one person logging in and being associated with all the accounts. That's pretty important. Also, where are you getting your email accounts from? Google Workspace in general is the best from a deliverability perspective. If you're using cheap email accounts from some random provider, then the whole email warm-up thing is not the issue. The issue is that you're using really crappy email accounts that are destined for spam anyways. So, and then also other things like where are you getting your leads from? If you have a really bad lead list source and your leads are just not relevant or they're not accurate, that's a problem. Are you double verifying your email lists? Because even if you use email verification to make sure you're only contacting valid emails, well, you might want to consider double verifying them with a second provider, so that you run your lead list through that first provider and you take all the valid emails, then you put those valid emails into the second provider, and then only contact the leads that were marked as valid or deliverable in both providers. And the reason why you want to do that is because these verification services are not 100% accurate. So if you only use one provider, you're still going to have potentially 3-4% bounce rate sometimes. You then do the double verification, and that bounce rate can go down to 1 or 0% in some situations. So that's something to also consider. So I'm going to wrap up this video. At this point, I'm just waffling. Thanks for watching. I recommend personally that you don't use warm-up tools because there's no evidence that they work, and it seems to be the opposite. Feel free to disagree. If you like this video, please share it. And if you want to see more videos like this about cold email, then subscribe to our Email Chaser YouTube channel. Thanks.